just feel like you've lost your spark. How do you reignite that spark when you feel like you've lost it? The last one specifically is pretty dense and deep. Hi, hello. Welcome to Mary's Cup of Tea, the self-love podcast for women, though all self-lovers are welcome here. I'm Mary. I write and speak about self-love, and I'm best known for my book, The Gift of Self-Love, and I also host retreats for women. And this is the podcast that will inspire you to love yourself. Real quick, before we dive in, I want to make sure you know about my book, The Gift of Self-Love. It's a workbook to help you build confidence, recognize your worth, and learn to love who you are. It's available anywhere books are sold. Thousands of people have it, love it, and have told me that it has greatly benefited their self-love journey, and I hope it'll do the same for you. And now let's get into the podcast. You know when you just don't feel like yourself? Maybe you have all these goals and dreams and ideas in theory, but you can't bring yourself to act on them because you just feel like you've lost your spark, that thing that makes you you, that gives you motivation, that makes you really excited and have this zest for life. I think it's such an important part of self-love is having that spark, right? And being able to ignite it and reignite it when you feel like you've lost it. Just a quick caveat here. I believe that, that lack of motivation and feeling like you just can't do anything, everything feels heavy. Obviously, there are many different manifestations of why this could be. Burnout is a big one. You're just literally your body is saying, no, please stop. We need a break. Depression is also a very serious clinical condition, and I hope that you have the wherewithal to recognize those signs and get professional help if needed. But in this episode specifically, I think it'll help you no matter where you are in your journey, and I hope it can be a self-love supplement, of course, not a replacement for mental health treatment. But specifically here, I'm talking about finding these little parts of your identity, little parts of yourself, whether they're personality traits that make you you or hobbies, activities, whatever that is that just makes you really excited to get out of bed in the morning and live your best life. How do you reignite that spark when you feel like you've lost it? And today I want to give you 5 self-love habits that will help you do so. The way I've formatted this episode is the first and fifth self-love habit is going to be a mindset shift. The last one specifically is pretty dense and deep, and I saved it for the end because, I feel like I need to warm up a little bit before I can talk about something pretty heavy, but I want only those who get it to hear that message, and it is one that I'm going to try to approach it with care, but I'm also practicing speaking my truth and not filtering myself so much, not second guessing as I'm recording podcast episodes. And I hope that I'll be able to bring you a powerful message with the care and intention that it's intended, while also giving you a little loving kick in the butt to be like, hey, you have the power within you. So stay tuned for that in the last one. I was also thinking I should maybe start telling you what's in my cup of tea every time. And today I must confess that I actually have a cup of coffee, specifically decaf, specifically instant coffee, which I know if you're a coffee connoisseur, that is absolutely criminal. And you're probably turning off this podcast and canceling me as we speak. But I actually made myself a cup of lemongrass moringa tea and just was not feeling the vibe. I was eating my favorite chocolate truffles that we get from Costco. We stock up during the holiday season just so I could have them throughout the year. And I was eating the chocolates and I'm like, I feel like I need coffee. Can't have that much caffeine though. So we have this instant decaf on hand. I also put some half and half cream in it. And to think that there was a time where I did not put cream in my coffee because I was too afraid of the calories, that thought just makes me so sad and depressed for my past self, because cream in your coffee is like, oh my goodness, one of the small joys of life. And as I was smelling this lemongrass moringa tea that I did not want and thinking about having a cup of coffee, I'm like, this is such a great practice for me, Mary, in the power of like being able to change your mind and speak your truth. I mean, I know it sounds kind of trivial to apply that to like, what hot beverage am I going to have? But truly, like, how many times have you gotten something or found yourself in a situation where you weren't like totally thrilled or aligned with it, but you stuck it out of like guilt, obligation? You're like, I already made this, so I got to drink it. And I was like, you know what? Today's practice of self-honesty is I really do not want lemongrass moringa tea right now. I want coffee. And here we are. Okay, as you can tell, I'm hyped up. I also haven't recorded a solo podcast episode like this in a few weeks, so I got things to say. And like I said, this episode will be jam-packed. But before I get into it, let me take a breath, a dramatic sip of tea or coffee today. Call me Mary's cup of coffee, just for today. Usually I'm Mary's cup of tea. Okay. Bringing the drama. And real quick, just to give myself an extra pep in my step, I wanted to read a positive review that I received on the podcast. These mean so much to me, and I would greatly appreciate it if you could take 60 seconds to leave your own review and let me know what you think. Of course, after you listen to the episode, please make sure your review is honest. This one says, absolutely changed me for the better. I have been struggling with confidence, self-love, and anxiety for as long as I can remember. I just now started to realize how it's been affecting my life, so I decided to do something about it. This is the first podcast I came across when starting my self-love journey, and let me tell you, it's exactly what I needed to hear. Mary is so genuine with her words, and she has said so many things I needed to hear. Every morning I listen to one of her podcasts, and I can always apply what she says to my day. I could go on forever about how much I love her in this podcast. I just have to say thank you, Mary, for helping me start my healing process. You are incredible. I'm so grateful. I think this review came from Abby from a couple years back. I'm going through some of the older reviews just so I can publicly thank you. And I hope you're still here all these years later. Okay, first, basic self-care is really important before we get into any of the like nitty-gritty mindset advice. We need to make sure that we're actually taking care of our physical bodies, minds, and souls in the most basic way. So here's the list of 14 questions that I came up with if you're stressed, stuck, or in a clusterfuck. Number 1, is my belly full? Is my bladder empty? How many times do you hold your pee because you're trying to get something done and then you're like, why am I so stressed out? Well, it's probably because you're hungry and need to pee. Okay. Is my belly full? Is my bladder empty? Have I seen the sun? Have I told the truth? Did I touch a living creature? Did I put my pen to paper? Am I drinking enough water? Am I giving myself grace? If I sit up tall, unclench my jaw, stretch my neck, relax my face, does it feel a little better? Can I say one kind thing from me to me, no matter what happens? Who do I want myself to be? Now breathe in a little deeper. And exhale all the way. What if this was easy? I love asking myself that question. What if this was easy? What if I'm okay? That's just a little self-care check-in for you today. And let's go into it. The first mindset shift for getting your spark back is knowing that getting your spark back is not about perfection, it's about permission. Back in my fitness days, and there's still so many residual elements of this toxic mindset that I have yet to overcome, I used to greatly operate from this mindset of starting fresh on Monday. When I get, this weekend's binge out of the way, then I'll be totally free and clear to get my shit together on Monday. I used to say that so much, get my shit together. What does that even mean? To me, what that meant is achieving this arbitrary, unrealistic level of perfection that is, like, quite frankly, impossible. But I kept telling myself that this when was at some point in the future. Even recently, I had a pretty overwhelming day yesterday, and it was filled with self-doubt and, comparing myself to others, questioning my message, my purpose, the whole shebang, right? And sometimes our brains will find one little culprit for all of those anxieties, for all those neuroses, and we'll blame it on that thing. So something that's common with those of us who have struggled with body image or disordered eating in the past is that, go-to scapegoat is our body. We tell ourselves that, I'm not in the relationship that I want to be. I don't have the dream job that I want. Everything will just be better when I lose weight, when I fix my body, when I buy these clothes or skincare products or makeup or hair that influencer recommended. For me, my recent when scapegoating, blame, culprit direction that I've channeled that energy into has been when I finish my podcast studio, because I've been renovating this space to try to, just make it better visually, create a space that's inspiring to me to make these videos for you. And so I tell myself that as I'm scrolling and comparing myself to others, I'm like, oh wow, their podcast setup looks so beautiful and aesthetic. That's why they have millions of downloads and I don't, right? And so I'm like, okay, when I finish the studio and when it looks absolutely perfect, then I'll finally be happy and confident and, have this motivation. And that's when I'll get my spark back to go back to, social media and podcasting, and I'm going to blow up. And then it turns into this fantasy, right? This alternate reality that I'm living in where I blame one teeny tiny little inconsequential thing as a form of procrastination. It's just an excuse. And it's just so much easier to say, I don't have, the perfect body or the perfect relationship or the perfect house to film content in or the perfect life to showcase or the perfect words to get my message across or the perfect, whatever. And so the first mindset shift that I want you to make is that getting your spark back is not about perfection. It's about permission. And I think a lot of people, when they talk about perfection, they're like, it's progress, not perfection. I don't even want you to think about progress yet. I just want you to give yourself unconditional permission. And I'll give it to you. I'm going to give you a giant permission slip right now that you have permission to start where you are as a beginner, as an amateur. I saw this video on Reels, and this gal in a bigger body was outside hiking, and she made this video and she goes, do it fat, go exercise fat. And she goes into this whole thing where she was afraid to go to the gym because she didn't like her body. So she wouldn't go to the gym at all, even though it made her so happy to be active and moving. And so her message to the world was you don't have to wait, do it fat, do it as you are. I follow this other creator on TikTok too. And she says something along the lines of so what if you're ugly? Do it ugly, right? Let it be messy, let it be weird and ugly and whatever it is right now. That idea of there's some point in the future where you are skinny and pretty and confident and eloquent and smart and educated and have the degrees and credentials and accolades and respect and recognition and press releases and all that stuff. If you're operating from this mindset now, I promise you that even when or if you get to that point, you're still going to feel just as insecure. And that's really where imposter syndrome comes from, right? So the more we can embrace exactly where we are right now and give ourselves permission to take any kind of messy action toward whatever it is that you want, the more you're actually, that's real, authentic confidence. If your confidence is dependent upon how you look, whether or not you put makeup on that day, whether or not your hair's done, whether or not your video looks perfect, whether or not your partner is being lovey-dovey with you, whether or not you get a good grade on a paper, whether or not, things outside of you are at this arbitrary level of perfection that is impossible to achieve, that you've just literally made up in your mind. If your confidence is contingent upon external factors, that is not confidence. That is not confidence. That's fake. That's a facade. That is giving away your power. True confidence is being okay, I'm ugly. This is messy. This is who I am. I accept myself. I'm showing up. I'm doing the thing. I'm letting myself be seen for who I am. All the phases of it, whether it's the done up hair, makeup, looking good, feeling yourself. I love that for you, but we can't put all our eggs in that appearance basket. We also need to train our confidence to flex, to exercise, even and especially when we're feeling like shit, feeling ugly, feeling demotivated, and then doing whatever it is you want to do anyway will help strengthen that muscle. So Here's your giant permission slip to be really bad, to be an amateur, be a beginner, to pursue something frivolous with no goals, no ulterior motives, to tap into your creativity, be cringy, be embarrassing, do the smallest, tiniest, silliest, randomest, craziest thing. I randomly came across this TikTok comment that I screenshotted. I don't even know the original video, but it said, wash a rock. And the commentator said, my only task every single day was to wash a rock because it has no real world consequences and therefore no pressure. I needed proof that I could form a habit. So after I washed the rock, then I could finally drink water or brush my teeth. So this is this idea of like lowering the stakes so much so that there is no way you can fail. Like unless you do absolutely nothing, there's no way you can fail at washing a rock. What does that even mean? Like that is silly, that is ridiculous, and that is the point. Just do the silly, ridiculous thing because again, that is the practice of getting your spark back. It's like getting yourself up and out. Up and out. That's all you got to do. Just a little bit. It doesn't have to be up and out here toward that, big audacious goal that you have, but just up and out a little bit, up and out a little tiny micro step outside of your comfort zone. This reminds me of a meditation by Thich Nhat Hanh, the Buddhist teacher, and he wrote this book on mindfulness, and I absolutely love this little excerpt in it. He writes, if while washing dishes, we think only of the cup of tea that awaits us, thus hurrying to get the dishes out of the way as if they were a nuisance, then we're not washing the dishes to wash the dishes. What's more, we are not alive during the time we are washing the dishes. In fact, we're completely incapable of realizing the miracle of life while standing at the sink. If we can't wash the dishes, the chances are we won't be able to drink our tea either. While drinking the cup of tea, we will only be thinking of other things, barely aware of the cup in our hands. Thus, we are sucked away into the future, and we are incapable of actually living 1 minute of life. If I were to rewrite this, I would say 1 fucking minute of life. So on that note, I think it would be very timely and relevant to take another dramatic sip of tea and just be here now. Part of getting your spark back is also being okay with this minute of your life right now. As much as hobbies help, and I really encourage hobbies, they're such a great way to diversify your sources of identity and to have fun and be like just a well-rounded person. If you're not ready for a hobby, if you are in such a funk that even, getting out there to take a class, like say you've been wanting to take a dance class, if that still feels so intimidating because you're like, I'm not a dancer, I don't have the outfit that I want, I don't have the time, I'm just so deep in my shit, right? Then start by washing a rock. What is your proverbial version of washing a rock? Maybe it's turning on music for 2 minutes and dancing in your room. Hey, suddenly you're dancing. At least you're dancing. Let that be enough. You know what I mean? So that's the first mindset shift is permission over perfection. And I'm giving you permission right here, right now to wash a freaking rock and enjoy this 1 fucking minute of right now. Hey, self-lovers, sorry to interrupt, but do you have my self-love playlist? There's over 300, if not 400 songs on it that are so fun and uplifting and empowering, and I think will really be perfect for when you're getting ready, trying to hype yourself up, dealing with a bad body image day, or anytime you just want a little boost of self-love. These tracks will do it for you. So head to maryscupoftea.com/playlist to get it and know that I am dancing and jamming with you from afar. Cheers. The next tip, I think you're going to really enjoy this one because I personally love doing this. I do this practice where I keep running lists. I have a folder in my phone. It's in the notes app of my iPhone, and I titled the folder Handy Dandy, and I just have a few key notes in there that I'm constantly like updating. And generally these little notes that I have in the Handy Dandy folder are ongoing lists that I'm making for myself to keep myself excited for life, to keep that joie de vivre, right? And anytime I'm feeling in a funk, I can just go through the notes app on my phone. And that way I'm relying on myself for inspiration rather than scrolling through Instagram or TikTok and thinking that inspiration lies in some Instagram post or Pinterest post. Again, those are external factors. Sure, you could get inspired by something that you see on the internet, but it is much more real and true and deep and authentic if you can inspire yourself. And one way to do that is to keep running lists. So some of the running lists that I have in my phone are, do you want me to read you the lists? I can read you the lists. My list is titled Phrases I Love. And I only have 13 items on this list because I just started this a couple months back. But basically, anytime I hear a word or a phrase that just makes me feel something, I put it in this little note, which is neatly organized into a folder called Handy Dandy, so I can access it at any time. So, phrases I love. Soaked her voice in honey. I think I heard that from the book Circe. Have you heard of that book? It's so good. Number 2, complete abandon. I really like that. Doing something with complete abandon. 3, increase the resolution of enthusiasm. I just really like the visual, like increase the resolution of enthusiasm. Very klemptitude. Very klemptitude. That it means choked up with emotion. Back asswards. Okay, this made me laugh for many, many days. I think that is so funny. Back asswards. Like if something is back asswards instead of ass backwards. Okay. Feeling dwarfed by my surroundings. I want to experience that more, like big trees, oceans, mountains. Smorgasbord. Let's incorporate that into our vocabulary. Cornucopia. Effervescent. Squeal with delight. Gusto. Oh, I wrote this. Number 12 says duck treading water analogy. That's often how I feel, that like on the surface, like I'm chill, I'm cool as a cucumber, but like inside I'm like a duck treading water very frantically. And the last one I have for now is splashing around in a puddle of low self-esteem. Something I find myself doing every so often. So that's one of my lists. Another list that I have that I recommend you starting is a local bucket list. It's just a list of random things you want to do in your city or state. So cute solo day dates, maybe it's date nights with your partner, or if a friend is in town and you want to create a new experience with the two of you together, right? I think there's definitely a beauty in showing something a place that you already love, but now imagine finding a spot, a place, a restaurant, a little, part of your town that neither of you have experienced. Suddenly you're both tourists. I really like that idea. Another list idea for you, a list of the best days of your life. Oof, I have mine and it feels like super vulnerable and personal to share. But I do recommend like taking a little stock and inventory of those days of your life that you just remember being like, wow, like I'm here. Staple recipes I want to learn how to cook until they become second nature. So I have a list of like really easy things, especially food from my Russian culture, like blinchiki, which is basically crepes. Like crepes are actually so easy to make. I just want to nail them. Or sauerkraut or miso soup. I love miso soup and I've heard it's so easy to make. Like I put that on my list. Before I get to the last list idea, I want to highlight that you must treat these lists not as to-do lists, like, oh my God, I need to get everything done on this list before I deserve my own satisfactory rating of approval. No, these lists are more like a menu of shit to look forward to, a menu of little bits and pieces and parts of you that are sweet and cool and fun and romantic, little ideas, whatever that is. You can create whatever list you want, but I think there's just, it's just such a fun, easy way to get your spark back is making little lists, right? It's cute. It's fun. The last list that I invite you to make is a list of I am statements. So these I am statements are not affirmations. They're more like roles you identify with. And the idea here is to expand the roles in your life and not just expand them, but see yourself as more than just one thing. That way, like I mentioned earlier, not all your self-esteem eggs are in one basket. So for example, my I am statements, I started this, by the way, like 10 years ago. So I have quite a bit of things. And as you come across something that you're like, wow, that really feels like me, you're going to add it to this I am list. So I wrote, I am a loving wife. I am a caring sister. I am a cool daughter. I am a dog parent. I am a badass business owner. I am a voracious reader. I am a bookworm. I am a wordsmith. I am a published author and writer. I am a seeker. I am a question asker. I am a hiker. I'm an Aquarius queen. I'm an inspirational speaker. I am a podcaster. So I write like all these things, these parts of my identity, even if they feel questioned or threatened by my insecurities. Anything you find that you greatly identify with that excites you, that's a big part of your life, or maybe it's something that you want to lean more into, add it to this I am list. It's going to really strengthen that core inner self-worth. Okay, my next piece of advice, this is the third small way to get your spark back if you're stuck in a rut. Pick a color for this chapter of your life. I don't know about you, but when there's an event happening, like say I'm looking forward to a vacation, or it's a season, like say right now we're entering the summer season, right? And maybe the flowers around you are blooming and the sun is shining a little bit more often. Think about the color that you're gravitating toward at this point in your life. For me personally, the colors kind of coincide with different retreats. Like my last retreat, I really was feeling purple, okay? The retreat prior to that, I loved red and like blues, those hues, right? I remember a few years back at my Spain retreat, I can literally remember right now, I really liked this light mint green. So the idea here is to pick a color, and color is like so exciting and stimulating for the brain. And every time this color finds you, let it be proof of the power of magic, manifestation, kismet, confirmation bias, coincidence, serendipity, like whatever you want to call it. If you're, spiritual, woo-woo, hippy-dippy, maybe you're like, oh my goodness, I manifested this color into my life. If you're a little bit more practical, like science-oriented, you're like, oh, that's confirmation bias working for me. I have been thinking about the color red, and now I'm seeing red cars pass by me everywhere. Like, how exciting. It doesn't matter what you call it. Pick an explanation that makes you happy. But this is exercising. There's a few things happening here. One, colors make everybody happy. It doesn't even matter if the color is black. If you're like, this is a doom and gloom phase of my life, and the color that I'm gravitating toward is black. Fine. Like, enjoy being black. Enjoy seeing black come up in your life and let that be a reflection of the energy within. And you don't have to make value judgments like for or against the color black. Like it's beautiful in its own way, right? Like every single color has its place. I love wearing black colors. I love leaning into a little more goth. Like I think we all went through a little teen emo phase in our lives, and we'll always look back at that time and be like, oh wow, like I was alternative and wearing this like dark eyeliner around my eyes. I kind of looked like a raccoon, but hey, that was the phase that I was in. And it's just cool to think about it that way. On top of that, you're also inviting in mindfulness through the power of noticing. So this could be a meditation in and of itself. You can even take yourself on, I heard a therapist call it a color walk. So you just pick a color like yellow and you go outside and you try to look for the color yellow. That becomes a little meditation. It becomes a game. It's so fun to do with your family or kids or just yourself. It's the power of noticing little tiny bits of beauty in your everyday life. And that's really going to help you get your spark back. The last two self-love habits for getting your spark back are more mindset shifts. So this next one is going to be a little lighter. And like I said, the last one is going to be quite deep and heavy. I just want you to be mentally prepared for that. But I promise it'll make such a huge impact in your self-love journey. So this is the lighter one. You know how they say romanticize your life? Well, I was reflecting and I just know with 100% certainty that I have been doing this in my deepest, darkest times. I talked about it in other podcast episodes where I was really struggling with my eating disorder and a bad breakup and sexual trauma, family estrangement, so many things happened within 1 year of my life. And it happened to be the year that I was living completely alone in a very cold place, like literally cold place. I was living in Canada. And I remember taking really long walks by the river and just having this, I don't know if you can call it a pep talk with myself, but like a survival conversation where I'm like, Mary, one day you are going to write about this. Like one day this will mean something. This is like a part of the process. This is the plot. And that idea of romanticizing your life, picturing yourself as on a hero's journey is something to implement if you want to get your spark back, because what it does is it creates a positive meaning for this hard, clunky, stressful time of your life. And that positive meaning is, oh, this is part of the plot. Oh, this is character development. Oh, this is where I'm learning so many coping skills and tools and lessons that you can only learn through such challenges. The only way out is through. You have to go on this hero's journey. At a certain point, you're going to climax. There is something to look forward to. We're all on our own hero's journey, and there are hero's journeys within every chapter of your life, within every phase of your unfolding. And there might be like a big arc of a healing journey or of a hero's journey. Also, healing journey. That was a great Freudian slip. But that arc, you need to build up to it, right? You need to go through that challenge, that conflict. We all took literature class in school. There's this moment of contention, whether it's you versus you, right? What were the things that they taught us in literature? It's either you versus you versus someone else, or you versus nature, some kind of like bigger force in life, right? And you going through that is going to lead to some big climax. And this idea of seeing this as a quest, you getting your spark back is this quest. It's part of the plot. It's the precursor to an exciting comeback. It's the character development phase that each protagonist must go through, including you. You are no different. We must all go through it. I saw a TikTok comment. I think it must have been on that same video that I referenced earlier. I'm going to dig it up for you and link it in the episode description. It said, convince yourself that you're on a show being watched and the audience is rooting for the main character to make a huge comeback. So make that mindset shift. Like, see this as part of the hero's journey. You getting your spark back is a quest. And how exciting is that? Let's move on to the very, very serious, very big mindset, belief, teaching that I want you to carry with you. It's not about what happened. It's about the meaning you attach to it. You know, with levity, about seeing yourself as the main character in a movie, romanticizing your life, leaning into that hero's journey. That's like a fun way to switch up the meaning of the hard, difficult part of your life. Know that you can always choose an alternative, more optimistic meaning. And the reason why I say that this is a little heavy, and here's what I mean. And I do firmly believe that life isn't about what happens to you. It's about the meaning you attach to it. What conclusions do you draw from it? What stories are you telling yourself? How are you letting it impact your self-worth? And the reason why I say that this is heavy is because I've been recently really moved by this book. It's called The Choice by Dr. Edith Eger, and she's a Holocaust survivor. She was in Auschwitz when she was 10. A lot of people refer to her as the Anne Frank who lived. And what most impacted me about this story, although I've read quite a few like Holocaust books and survivor stories, Dr. Edith specifically talks about the aftermath of healing from trauma. And there's this one, I really hope you pick up the book, okay? Like, please read the book. I don't want to butcher this very critical part of her story for you or tell it for her. But there's this part where Dr. Edith, she grew up dancing ballet and being in gymnastics, and that just personally really related to me. And so when she was 10 and got sent to Auschwitz, she was forced to dance for this Nazi named Mengele, and he was infamous for being, like, his nickname was called the Angel of Death. He was the one that determined the fate of who's going to live, who's going to die, who's going to work slave to death, either way. And there's this just iconic scene that is so memorable where as she's dancing for this Nazi, and the reason why he forced her to dance for him is because he was like really into the arts and just wanted entertainment in his own sick way. As she's dancing, she's picturing herself on stage at the Budapest Opera House. And it's this beautiful scene. It's like 3-4 pages long where she describes herself dancing on stage and the crowd is there and it's her dream. And she somehow, like, obviously it's a survival mechanism, right? To disassociate. That's definitely part of it. But then much, much later in the book, on page 161, which is toward the end, she becomes friends with Dr. Viktor Frankl, and he's the one who wrote the book Man's Search for Meaning. And Man's Search for Meaning is exactly what the title says. It's about how do we survive like the harshest, most inhumane traumas of our lives. And it's about, not losing your heart, not letting it impact the meaning that you make the trauma mean about yourself, and that we all have the power to choose in our minds what we make ourselves believe. So Dr. Edith Eger and Dr. Viktor Frankl, they start corresponding, and they both survived Auschwitz, although Viktor Frankl was quite a bit older than she was. She was 10 at Auschwitz, and he was like in his later 30s. But here's how she describes their friendship. She writes this essay called Viktor Frankl and Me, and then, it gets published in a small magazine, and he sees it and he reaches out. And she said he had been moved enough by my little essay to contact me, to relate to me as a fellow survivor, as a peer. I had written about imagining myself on stage at the Budapest Opera House the night I was forced to dance for Mengele. Frankl wrote that he had done something similar at Auschwitz. In his worst moments, he had imagined himself a free man giving lectures in Vienna on the psychology of imprisonment. He had also found a sanctuary in an inner world that both shielded him from his present fear and pain and inspired his hope and sense of purpose, that gave him the means and a reason to survive. Frankl's book and his letter helped me find words for a shared experience. So it's this idea of, my example is so much different than surviving Auschwitz, of course, but it's that same mindset of being in a dark time and thinking to yourself, one day this is going to help me. One day this is going to help others. One day I will write about this. Viktor Frankl fantasized about lecturing on the psychology of imprisonment as he was going through said imprisonment. Dr. Edith Eger put herself on stage at the Budapest Opera House as she was forced to dance for a Nazi in exchange for a small piece of bread that she shared with her fellow inmates. And that, I don't know if this is like psychologically accurate, but it almost strikes me as a form of positive disassociation. And the way Dr. Edith, she's a psychologist, the way she describes it is the biggest lesson that she learned from her mother, which is that no one can ever take away your mind. What you put in your mind, what you choose to think, the meaning you attach to things will determine how you survive and will you thrive on the other end. So this book, oh my goodness, it is so deeply profound. And I apologize that this is like, a really heavy example of using Holocaust survivors' stories. But I mean, they are the emblems of getting your spark back and turning your pain into your purpose and knowing that there is light, like something good is around the corner for you, and just making little tiny, teeny tiny little steps toward just a little bit of joy, whether it's finding a color to associate with this season of your life, or writing little lists that feel trivial, but you're going to treat them as menus where you can reclaim a sense of spark and zest for life. Or maybe you're simply practicing giving yourself permission to wash a freaking rock, or maybe wash the dishes as Thich Nhat Hanh, I'm still working on the pronunciation of his name, as he taught us to really focus on this moment right here, right now, while washing the dishes or sipping your cup of tea, to romanticize your life. See it as the hero's journey. It's part of your big arc. It's part of your arc. It's part of your comeback. There's a proverbial audience, and that audience is just parts of yourself to make your future self proud. And another audience of one, which is me, Mary, always cheering you on from afar. I'm so grateful that you're on this self-love journey with me. If this landed with you, please let me know. You can leave a comment on Spotify, on YouTube if you're watching this. You can also leave a review. That would mean so much to me. And know that the spark that you're looking to reignite, it lies within you. You just gotta rub some sticks together and give it a little oxygen. Hopefully this podcast episode served as that. Cheers.